A short introduction explained the several levels of knights, from trainees to fully fledged knights who could skillfully manipulate their auras. It was evident what the order of things was. Trainee, advanced trainee, and full knight. It was said that full knights had incredible power and could use aura in ways that were beyond human. The story went on to say that full knights could break mountains with one strike, or cut through fortress walls like paper. The proprietor of the tavern laughed in a mocking, bragging way as he proudly said that the knight in front of them, Ted, was just an advanced trainee of the Black Serpent gang. He kept going with a smug tone, saying that Damien was as good as dead, but Damien made fun of him by saying, "So he's just a trainee then?" This made Ted angry and he stayed quiet for a bit. Damien said in a mocking tone that he had felt an incredibly faint aura emanating from Ted, which showed that Ted had not yet learned how to fully manage it. Damien thought to himself, why would a knight, even a trainee, work in such a low-grade place? He thought Ted had been kicked out because he wasn't good at anything. The bar owner then tried to exploit the situation to his advantage by giving Ted money to kill Damien swiftly, but Ted put off the payment because he wanted to deal with Damien first and settle matters in person. Ted quickly and violently attacked Damien, promising to make him pay for being rude. Damien handled the onslaught with calmness and stability, displaying no symptoms of panic. The fight that followed was so strong that it broke the floor beneath their feet. Still, Damien had to acknowledge to himself that his opponent was rather decent for a trainee. He could see just how stable Ted's movements were, even when he swung his weapon hard and wide. The edge of it didn't shift. Ted launched another stunning attack filled with aura, which impressed Damien and attracted his complete attention. Damien started to feel very tired and worn out from the long fight. He knew that his body was getting close to its limit. Ted, on the other hand, got angrier and yelled at Damien, "You bastard! Let's see how you get away with this one." Ted put all this effort into the last blow, which was full of energy and aura, and he was determined to end the fight. Damien immediately knew what kind of assault was coming and whispered to himself that technique. Ted, his opponent, used a secret move that looked beautiful and terrifyingly powerful, taking on a lot of energy. Damien chose to use a specific tactic of his own and began to prepare for a counterattack in a strong and steady way. Damien's spots suddenly filled with recollections of the past, especially the day he fought a man named Dorcas who seemed astonished to be called at that moment in that memory. Another scary person showed up. The Lord of the Death Knights, who came in at a high pace and dealt a fatal blow. The Death Knight Lord told someone else to shut up and leave right now if he wanted to live. But the man wouldn't leave. He stood resolutely with his weapon in hand, ready to face the threat. The Death Knight Lord, who was clearly annoyed by the man's insistence, said he had no choice but to murder him too. He started to show off his unique power, saying a scary voice that the human body is primarily made of water. His shape changed into something that moved like water, making the scene extra scarier and stranger. The Death Knight Lord used a special method to let his weapon go through his opponent's body, like it was water, with no resistance at all. The opponent fell to the ground right away after the fatal blow and the death. Knight Lord said that even a wooden weapon could pierce a person with that move. He walked up to his opponent, who was on the ground, and told him that he should have gone away when he had the chance. The Death Knight Lord suddenly felt something was off and started to look about with obvious fear. He was shocked when something started to take shape around him. His face made it plain that he was now dealing with something very frightening and unexpected. The Death Knight Lord was absolutely shocked and terrified, asking how his opponent was still standing. He asked out loud if the man was one of the deceased. He started to gather all of his power again so he could face the new menace in front of him. But before he could do anything, he was hit by a swift and very strong surprise strike that left him very hurt. He couldn't believe it and asked where this strength came from. He looked shocked and like he was going to pass out, and he asked his opponent with obvious concern, "How do you know that technique?" Then the image went back to Ted, who would have been badly hurt and remained still for a time, knowing right away that this was the end for him. Ted, the training knight, fell to the ground and didn't move. It was shocking to everyone who saw it. Damien understood that all of his earlier fights had ended the same way. Everybody who fought him ended up dead. Damien realized that he had a special gift. He could take the power of his opponents and use it against them. The tavern owner shook with fear as he witnessed what had just transpired. He ran away in fear after seeing how powerful Damien was. The tavern owner looked at Damien with fear and despair all over his face, knowing full well how serious the situation he had put himself in was. The tavern owner suddenly bowed and apologized profusely to Damien, saying how sorry he was for ruining the good name of the aristocratic Saxon family. He hesitantly asked Damien if a significant sum of money would be adequate to make up for the embarrassment he had caused. Damien grudgingly accepted the offer, telling himself that the apology was the most important thing, but he wouldn't turn down extra money. He calmly turned around and told someone to collect all the money and goods in the room. With full confidence and clear authority. Victor the servant looked in hesitatingly, following Damien's order, with a shaky yes, sir, as he saw what had happened. Victor thought to himself in disbelief that he would never have believed it if he hadn't witnessed it with his own eyes. He was quite curious about when and where Damien had learned to use a sword so well. The proprietor of the restaurant said goodbye to Damien and Victor with courteous, apprehensive gestures, hoping they would be safe on the trip home. Victor yelled with excitement as they departed. It was the first time in his life he had seen so much wealth and treasure. The bar owner, on the other hand, was quiet and clearly disturbed. The owner of the tavern promised himself that he would get back every gold coin from Damien, and that he would ask the Black Serpent's boss for help. But then he was kicked by something out of the blue, which shocked and panicked everyone around him. The tavern owner yelled in anguish and helped his hurt. Year after one of Damien's brutal hidden moods, Damien came up to the bar owner and made it apparent that he was a threat. He ordered the owner to tell the Black Serpent gang that he would never forgive them if they ever thought about hurting his family again. The proprietor of the bar was on the ground in a lot of agony, cursing and threatening Damien under his breath. He promised that he would get back at him one day. Damien and Victor departed the site peacefully as the sun fell. Taking the treasures they had found with them as they left, Damien thought to himself, knowing that what he had done would not erase all of his past errors. He promised his family that he would never let them down or fail them again. In this second chance at life. Damien smiled at Victor and told him to go home. Victor cheerfully said, "Yes, young master." Meanwhile, a luxurious mansion with the name Marquis Leon Blum came into view. Inside, a young man spoke softly to his brother and asked if he had ever heard the saying, "Love always comes with pain." The brother looked confused and asked if he was going to a duel based on his dramatic expression, but the young man calmly replied with a mysterious smile that he wasn't going to a duel. He was on a quest to find love.